All right. Hi there, sports fans. Welcome. We are going to talk about the immersive experiences that can accompany sports and stadiums. I'm Laura Kusumoto. I'm an independent consultant helping large and startup companies get practical value out of emerging technologies. I've worked with Disney and Lego and Deloitte Consulting and a few other places on guest experiences. And next to me is Christian Lau, the CTO, and he's going to do most of the talking here, CTO of the LA Football Club. And so, Christian, how did you get into that role, and what does it mean to be a CTO?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. So yeah, I'm the CTO for the Los Angeles Football Club and BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. I come from a background of technology, but this is my first sports gig. I've been at LAFC since the very beginning, when what we have is BMO Stadium, but when I showed up 8 years ago, it was just an idea, and there were 20 of us, and no player, no coach, no stadium. We were literally groundbreaking what is now our stadium in Expo Park, and so had to build it from nothing, and have been running it since we opened up back in 2018.
That's awesome. So what is the LA Football Club today? You know, where is it? How many people come see you? What's it all about?
So LAFC BMO Stadium, fast forward 8 years, is one of the preeminent venues in the world. And that's not me being hyperbolic. If you read Pollstar or Billboard, you'll see that BMO Stadium, we welcome about 1.6 million people to the venue every year. We are the fourth highest grossing venue in the United States for concerts, and 14th in the world for the amount of events that we do and the amount of revenue we generate. LAFC, since its inception, again, we started April 2018. We've won an MLS Cup, we've won the U.S. Open Cup, 2 supporter shields. We've played in many finals, haven't always come out on top, unfortunately, but at least we're always competitive, and we kick off play against Chelsea next Monday in the Club World Cup. So I think we're doing okay on the pitch and off the pitch.
Awesome. So where is BMO Stadium?
BMO Stadium, if you're not an Angelino, is on the 110 freeway. We are next to the Coliseum and Expo Park, which is adjacent to USC, a really cool area. We've got, in fact, if you're driving through the 110 going downtown, which I wouldn't recommend going downtown at the moment, it's safer than it looks on TV, by the way, but there are some closures and things. But we've got a couple of towers on the freeway. We call them the Towers of Los Angeles. They are giant LEDs, 90,000 square feet of LED on the 110 freeway, the largest freeway boards in North America, which we're very proud of. It has its own Instagram as well, so you can't miss us.
Sounds worthy of Los Angeles. Yes. So just before we go on with the innovations, what are the club's main sources of revenue, so we understand it as a business?
Sure. There's a few. So obviously, butts and seats, selling tickets to Los Angeles Football Club matches. We also have Angel City Football Club, which is an NWSL club, also very successful. Concert business is very robust. We do other events as well. Boxing, for example. We did Riyadh season last year, which was a massive success. It was probably the biggest boxing event in 2024, and we were very fortunate to host it. And then we do a ton of special events. We do a lot of filming for television, for films, movies. We do a lot of commercial shoots, those types of things. If you've ever watched, there's dozens and dozens of films, Capital One commercials. If you've ever seen Jennifer Garner in one of those commercials, that was filmed at BMO Stadium, for example, those types of things. And then we're active in a 365-day year, roughly 290 days. We have live events, so we don't really have that many dark days because we're usually doing load-ins or load-outs.
Amazing. All right, well, since we're at AWE, as we start to talk about innovations, and you have a whole range, a whole world of innovations going on there, let's start with immersive technologies and XR. Today, how are you using XR perhaps as an interface to the digital world or the physical world? How are you using it today and in the near future?
Sure. So our journey in XR really goes back to 2017 when we built out what is now BMO Stadium in a virtual reality environment. We worked with a company called Rock 360, which is based here and in London, as well as Gensler, who's our architect. And we built out every space of the venue primarily so we could sell season tickets, so people understood what the view was going to look like, where we could sell suites and club spaces. That was really important. And then also to show what prospective sponsors and partners' inventory would look like. So that was very successful. That kind of kicked things off for us in the world of VR. Beyond that, we started to focus on augmented reality. We've tried some things out. I'll tell you, it's interesting for us, maybe just it's football in general. But we've looked at a lot of things related to customer engagement for fan experience using augmented reality, and a lot of those things haven't really hit. We've looked at doing activations in the venue. A lot of people they're not as interested as we would like them to be, but we've taken some of the things that we learned trying to do it in venue, and we've done it on platforms. So a good example, LAFC was the first sports organization to do filters with Snapchat back in 2018, which did really well. We were really excited about that. Those are the types of things, the types of innovations that we're working through. Some of the stuff we're working on now in the realm of augmented reality is not necessarily customer facing. One of the focal points we've got is not very sexy, but building maintenance using augmented reality. We've got easily one of the most robust fiber optic networks in the world. It's a GPON system. It's actually quite extraordinary. We built it because we needed it to last us 40 years. It was the idea. And we already know what it looks like. We've got a ton of dark fiber. We have the infrastructure to support any type of event you can imagine over the next 40 years. We've just started remapping that for LA 28. So we've had engineers working on that. Our plan is to have every component and every fiber run in a digital twin of the stadium, so we can actually do maintenance easier. We understand where all the endpoints are, those types of things. So very practical use of the technology. We're really excited to see that come to life probably by the end of next year.
I don't know, I think maintenance is kind of cool. So do you imagine expanding the footprint of that experience from an entertainment point of view in the future?
Yeah, actually. So post-Pandy, I'd say 2021, we started to look at hologram technology. There is a company that we were working with. I can't name them, but they're out in the world, based in Orange County, if you can pinpoint that. Really cool technology. Our focus was for concerts and the ability to do a concert, but then have it simulcast around the country using hologram technology, and it's actually really robust. If I don't know if anybody here was at Coachella when Tupac was on stage, but it's similar to that, but a fraction of the footprint and the cost. And so we started to play with that in 2021. The tech is ready to go. It becomes a commercial issue with promoters and management and everybody that gets involved when it comes to live events and music. But one day we will launch that. But that's just an extension of what the in-stadium experience is and what it can look like out in the world.
What does that look like to a guest? Are they looking through their phone or through some glasses?
No, you actually would show up at a theater, for example. You would have a stage like you would like a movie theater. But instead of having the screen on, you would have a three-dimensional concert. So the holograms would look like people are literally on stage, and the audio profile, everything about it is just insane. I wish I could show you a demo, but it's actually quite extraordinary.
Excuse the pun, but that sounds very spatial. All right, so I think one thing that's interesting is some of the other things that are going on behind the scenes in your stadium. Now, you have to keep people safe. Yes. You need to keep them secure. You also want to have them enjoy the food and buy merch and enjoy all of that. So, supporting all these sort of more operational and complementary experiences to the entertainment and to the game, what are some of the innovations that you've got going?
So we're heavily focused on biometrics, right? Going back to 2019, we launched face identity ticketing with Ticketmaster and Clear, like at the airport. So you could make your face your ticket. Opt-in only, though. We weren't forcing anybody to do it. Very well received. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, so we had to stop that. We paused it till 2022. We've brought that back. It's a different set of partners now. Ticketmaster's still in the mix, but basically we have a full customer journey. Your face is your ticket. You can walk right in. We use a platform called Zonar, which is a LiDAR-based weapons detection system, fully autonomous. It uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to understand the audience. As everybody walks through it, we understand the different nuances around the different types of things that might be in their pocket, whether it's a phone or a couple of phones stacked up, keys, credit cards, metal credit cards, all those types of things. So it's actually learning as people are walking in, and that's been a really cool system for us. The other end of the customer journey using face is you can actually buy alcohol at BMO Stadium with your face. You'll have a card on file. Most of our retail now for concessions is autonomous. We'll move to a full autonomous model by the end of the year is the plan. And so you can literally just walk up, drop a beer on a platform, and you've checked out. In fact, a lot of people, because we like to watch people in action, and they'll walk in, they'll put beer down, and the transaction's already done. And they're like, wait, what just happened? It's literally like a half second is how quick it is. But that's been really well received. So those are the types of things we're working on. We also launched a mobile driver license here in California back in September of last year. So BMO Stadium is the reference, the test case for Apple. If you guys come to the venue, you can use your mobile driver license anywhere in the venue, which has been also very well received, and that is also an opt-in. But more and more people are starting to focus on that digital experience.
Have there been some challenges of getting these technologies to work in the real world?
There's always going to be a concern, and I don't like to look at Reddit ever, but some of our owners like to send me articles like, did you read that? And I'm like, well, no, but now you've put it in my face, so we'll look at it. It's an education process. I think a lot of people have concerns about privacy, about their identity being stolen, those types of things. But in the realm of face identity, the way we're using it, it's completely anonymous. We actually have no idea. And this is a nuance that I explain to people sometimes. It's a topology of your face, but it's generic, and it's tied to a ticketing profile and a credit card. So we don't actually know that it's you. We just know that you exist and that you age verified using your driver license originally and asking the end user a couple of questions to verify that it's them, and then that's it. So
That sounds super convenient for the fans, like really, really helpful, and helping with the security as well. Well, there's one area of VR that we haven't touched upon I wanted to ask you about. VR is often used for training. That's one of the major enterprise applications. And in sports, it's been used also to help improve team performance and athlete performance, training the brain, like head scanning in soccer. It's actually been used by some programs in Europe. And there's also, coach decision support types of programs. So I'm wondering what you think about those, and are those being deployed here as well?
Yeah, actually, so we have done some work in the past. We continue to use certain platforms for player performance. Every player has their own methodology on how they like to train, and some of them, especially some of our bigger stars, have their own training teams. So everybody has an opinion. But there are technologies we're using today, especially in the virtual reality space, where people are using those for different types of training. There's actually a platform that we're testing. It's a pilot, but it has an AI component on the back end of it. It's all augmented reality, but it's a predictive system. So we can see how players are performing. We can see if they're prone to injury, or we can actually forecast if they might have an injury based off the way like the ball of their foot is running when they're running, those types of things. It's very nuanced, but it's really interesting, very progressive technology. And it's really, we're only able to do these types of things, well, one, because we're developing the platforms, but it's about connectivity, really. So 5G out in the world now has really helped enable, a lot of the things that were really intensive over our Wi-Fi network in the past, those types of things.
So it sounds like you're using it for assessment in real time, or is that in training, or?
Only in training for now. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't do when you're actually playing the game. But over time, we'll see how these platforms develop. Ultimately, we like to use these types of technologies because we want players to have longevity in their careers, and they're looking for the same thing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, something exciting is happening in Los Angeles not only today, but next year. The 2028 World Cup is coming here, bringing an international soccer audience to the city. So I'm wondering, is that driving any of the work you're doing in innovation?
Not as much as you'd think. I think, there's a lot of things that are happening for the World Cup. It'll be really cool. We're not going to be a venue for the World Cup. We're not big enough. But we will be a training facility for the World Cup, so that'll be good. I would say with FIFA, the way that they operate, like they are technically advanced to a point, but they take more of a less is more approach and the technology that they want to deploy. And I think we're probably way ahead of the power curve compared to what they would want to do. But our main focus really right now is LA28. So the Olympics, we are an Olympic venue. I think we've got lacrosse, we've got flag football, there's one other one. So we're going to build out our infrastructure for that, as well as Expo Park, which we live in, and that is the Olympic Village for the media. So there's a lot of connectivity requirements and things that we're trying to figure out with the Coliseum next door. So just a lot of things are happening.
Yeah, no kidding. That's great. Well, going back to the theme of the AW conference this year, the theme is XR is going mainstream. It's no longer in the future, it's here. I just wanted to hear you reflecting upon that because, not everything you tried worked right away or was accepted right away. So kind of where do you think we are with this going mainstream, and how do you see it progressing? How do you see that we get there, that it becomes a mainstream technology?
I think you're starting to see little bits of it now. I mean, a good example, if you guys have been up to Snapchat and you look at that photo booth, for example, it's a really simple, elegant activation, right? I mean, they have, 6 filters on it? I tried it out. I look terrible with like the disco outfit and stuff. But it's those types of things that customers want, right? That the end user would want to use. So we think there's some promise there. I think, the spectacle, and I don't know if you guys have played out front here with the Niantic team, but they've got like really cool activations out front, and you put on the glasses and you've got this puppy running around. And so there could be some practical application there too. We've worked with a lot of organizations in our industry that spent, $1 million+ building out augmented reality activation so fans could have a photo with a player, right? And they did it like one time, and that was it. Like it was kind of a thud. It wasn't an exciting activation per se. So we don't want to do those kind of things, but if it's meaningful, we'll try it. I think when you start looking at filters on the mobile device and letting the end user, our fans have control on their devices and how they want to share things in social media, that is very meaningful to them. And so we'll approach those. Like we'll figure out what that looks like. We're going down a path about a year and a half ago on Vision Pro and how we might be able to activate on that platform. And we had a lot of really smart people in the room trying to figure out what does that look like, how does it engage with our fan base. and we just decided to table it because there wasn't anything truly meaningful there. And we even did a design session with a bunch of our season ticket members and our supporters, which, they all love the club, but they approach it differently. And none of them were interested. They're like, I'm not going to spend the money to buy a headset to do X, Y, or Z. And so for now, maybe in the future we'll figure it out.
So what I'm hearing is, in terms of operations of the stadium, the digital twin, the ticket sales, those kind of behind the scenes and operational applications, those are starting to work. But
Yes.
the consumer side, not so much yet.
For us, not quite. But again, if there are things that make sense, we will definitely pursue them. I think the photo booth concept is really interesting. I think there's a lot of legs there. We've had not their photo booth, but we've done photo booths in the past for special events, and people love a photo booth.
They like to see themselves. So does anybody out there have any questions for Christian?
Real quick, you mentioned a lot of cool things, but you mentioned doing maintenance at the stadium using augmented reality. Could you speak to exactly what those technologies were? Was it mobile? Was it headwear? Was it?
Mobile. So today it's mobile. I know in aviation they're using headsets for certain types of maintenance, but basically it lets you pinpoint when you need to replace parts, especially in like mechanical rooms, power plants, those types of things. If we know something's out, something's not working, but we have to take things apart to figure out how to access whatever those parts are, having that augmented reality component on an iPad today really helps us figure out, okay, this is the piece that needs to change out, make sure we do the right things. Yeah,